It is Five Live's TV Hour here on Afternoon Edition. We've got Sinead Garvan here with us from Newsbeat and TV critic Kevin O'Sullivan. Hello, both.
Hello.
Hello. Right, Sinead, let me start with you. What are we going to talk about this week?
Well, the return of the League of Gentlemen. Also, another massive Hollywood actor signed up to read one of those bedtime stories on CBeebies. And we're also going to have a look at this documentary that's on BBC Three at the moment about mental health in young men and how to be happy.
And Kevin, what are you reviewing?
We're going to be reviewing and slightly previewing the Durrells, which was launched last night on ITV, and Big Little Lies, which ends tonight on Sky Atlantic.
And as always, of course, here on TV Club on a Monday, which you are very much a fully paid up member of, we want you to get in contact with your recommendations. What have you been watching? What do you think we should be? Of course, it's called Sell It To Me. You can text us on 85058. You can always email afternoonedition@bbc.co.uk. You can also, of course, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. So if there is something that you've seen and you think, oh, you have to watch this. I recently came across 2 years late, Aziz Ansari's Master of None, which if you have not seen is one of the funniest things ever. And even though some of the stories are about, especially the first one about being the child of immigrants to this country, is so good.
Do you know, I saw him. I saw him. I was walking down the Lower East Side in New York. I saw him and I had to run over and say, I love your programme. And I never normally do that.
And did he just go like, yeah, that's really great, because he's quite nasal,
He did. He literally just looked up and went, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was all.
Okay.
No, that's all he said. He just went, I just think what you do is brilliant. I love your programme. Thank you so much. And he went, yeah, and then walked away.
He didn't do, I don't know if you heard our interview with the Kooks last week, but they had a brilliant James Brown story where one of their friends was ushered backstage to meet James Brown after a gig. Yeah. And James Brown, the only thing he said to him was, he said two things. He said, were you at the show? And the guy went, yeah. And then he went, you lucky. And that was it.
That's brilliant.
Which is, so I was hoping that Aziz had said that to you.
No,
just going,
have you seen my program?
Yeah.
Okay, you're lucky.
Yeah.
And then kind of walked off, in, like body popping and being cool, because he is just brilliant. So yeah, Master of None. That would be my recommendation to you. If you've not seen that, then get in contact with us. I want you to reciprocate by giving me something that you have seen across all kinds of TV. It could be BBC Three, BBC iPlayer, it could be Amazon Prime, it could be on Netflix, it could be indeed on any of the other catch-up on 4OD. Just get in contact with us. As I said, 85058 on the text, or give us a call 0808 5909 693. Sell it to me.
Well, it's Nick Dineen who got in touch last week. He said, watching Crashing on Sky Atlantic, lovely, warm comedy series about a wannabe stand-up. Pete Holmes is great and there's good cameos. Well, let's have a listen to a trailer for Crashing. It's written in, also stars Pete Holmes, and it's produced by Apatow Productions.
I can't wait to see you. I love you. Sorry, man.
You've been crying about your wife this entire time when you had a side chick?
That was my mom. She's a special lady, and I'm her little gentleman.
You have to tell your parents we're getting divorced.
What I'll do is I'll start dropping hints in a month.
I love my boy.
Me too, Mama.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I was confused when I first heard about this, because I remember the Phoebe Waller-Bridge crashing, which was on Channel 4. This is completely different, though. What did you think about it, Kevin? You've seen this one.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny, actually. It was a good recommendation. It's the story of a kind of failing stand-up comedian, or rather a wannabe New York stand-up comedian whose marriage goes completely wrong. He catches his wife in bed with someone else. He's therefore rendered homeless, disappears into his favourite comedy clubs, and basically starts shacking up with his favourite comedians, R.T. Lang, T.J. Miller, in order to keep a roof over his head. And it's about his sort of hapless journey from the bottom back up towards the top. So it's sort of quite life-affirming, some very funny lines. The comedians often turn out to be very good actors, and I think they are. It's well performed, well written. What's not to like? Pretty good.
And there's that slight moment, isn't there, when you realise, oh, it's not another comedy about comedy, is it? But it's different, as you were saying, because it's number one based on his life, and number two has this kind of catastrophic life event of him catching his wife in bed and goes from there.
Yeah, it's one of those programs that basically, if you watch it, you feel better about yourself, no matter how badly your life is going, because Pete Holmes, the lead character's life, is in a disastrous state, and it goes from bad to worse. You know, like when he's got nowhere to live, he gets mugged. Whatever happens to him, something worse takes place, and you can't quite believe it. So it's one of those comedy of errors that gets funnier and funnier. But as I say, well written, well performed, nice feel to it. I think the fact that it revolves around comedy, stand-up comedy and comedians is incidental. It's really a comedy about life, and it's good.
And Sinead, what did you think? It's not a lot. I mean, I've only seen one episode. I saw the first
Yeah.
episode. There was only one woman in it, and that was the wife, of course, who was unfaithful to him. But I found what was interesting was the fact he talked a lot about his Christian faith, and you don't hear that a lot in comedy.
No, not at all. Well, I agree with Kevin. I thought it is funny, but I felt a bit sad when I realised it was kind of based on his life. So that made me feel a bit bad for him. And I was like, because it's not just like laughing at a fictional character. Then it's like
watching someone's therapy session.
Yeah,
You know what they say about write about what you know.
Yeah.
There you go. Right.
My wife left me.
Yeah.
I know, right?
So I did think it was funny, but I just felt a little bit like, oh God, this poor guy. But yeah, so I did enjoy it. I only watched one episode as well, and I wasn't like desperate to see another one. But
okay.
I think I will go back to it.
Well, if you fancy it, Crashing's available on Sky Atlantic and Now TV, and you can watch the whole series if you fancy it, all in one go.
Now, the brand new series of The Durrells started on ITV last night with Keeley Hawes and family all back for its second series after being nominated for a BAFTA for Best Drama Series this month. Kevin, what did you think of The Durrells back again for more?
Well, it's back for series 2, and last year's series, the first series, was one of the breakout smash hits of the year, pulling in sort of instantly 6 and 7 million viewers a week. So for ITV, it became an immediate banker, and there was no doubt it was going to come back. But it just so happens, I mean, being very, very popular as a drama doesn't necessarily mean you're technically all that good. You know, the Downton Abbey, for example. But The Durrells...
Watch the text flooding.
The Durrells is really well written by Sam and Nihal, you know, the brilliant creator of Men Behaving Badly, and fantastically performed by... mostly Keeley Hawes, but with a fantastic backing cast as well. So in life, I think sometimes actors and actresses fortunately stumble upon the role they were born to play. And, you know, we knew that Keeley Hawes was a brilliant actress. She was fantastic in Line of Duty, Ashes to Ashes. She's always been an extremely good actress. But what I think we didn't quite realise is what a good comedy actress she is. So the story is, just in case people don't realise, it's based on Lawrence Durrell's book, Gerald Durrell's book, My Family and Other Animals, where this widow in the 1930s took her family from Britain to Corfu. In those days, the equivalent of travelling literally across to the other side of the world. I mean, you didn't get there in 4 hours then. It took weeks to Corfu, where they set up home and lived their life in perpetual poverty and perpetual chaos. This script obviously kind of romanticizes that, but it unfolds to the backdrop of beautiful scenery, charming characters, very funny. This series, Louisa Durrell, played by Keeley, has got a new romantic suitor in the shape of a guy called Hugh Jarvis, who's played by Daniel Copin. And it is extremely entertaining, very well written, perfect family escapism on a Sunday night. If the TV channels could bottle up what this programme did, this recipe for success, they'd have a lot more hits on their hands.
Sinead, you know, I sat through this.
Yeah.
You didn't like it, did you?
Well, do you know what it is? Is that I am so bored of this revisionist, this let's go back to a time when it was all rather twee, and it's all told from the perspective of a very narrow social class, and it isn't frightful, and mummy and daddy and all that. I just, you know, have we got nothing more to say about this
Not
great...
at 8 p.m. on a Sunday night on ITV,
but I mean,
no.
is that real? I mean, this great nation of ours, which... Today in 2017, there are so many great stories to be told, and yet these huge budgets, because this does not look cheap,
No.
It's not,
right,
it's not.
is taken up by this just, life through soft focus lens drivel. I mean,
but it gets 7 million views. It's extremely popular.
I know.
People don't necessarily want to be confronted with gritty realism.
I don't know, but there are still great stories to be told now that are uplifting and charming and funny. They don't have to be from a very
uplifting and charming, don't you think?
No, I just think
you don't think it's got any charm whatsoever.
Well, no, because I think that when I look at it, the historical period it's set in, I think
1930s.
Can we just not stop going back in history? Can we just start thinking about the world we live in now and bringing great stories from people who lived experience that is great and that is interesting in the world now? And I just think it's so lazy. Yes, I don't totally understand why 7 million people will want to watch it. I get that. My mum, I'm sure, would be all over this, like Call the Midwife and all of these shows. I just look at this and go, oh, really? Can we just? Oh.
But don't forget, it's based on a classic book that has sold millions over the years. So they're not just plucking this from the ether. They're taking this from the pages of a established bestseller.
There have been books written in the last 10 years, presumably representing.
But you can't just say that all drama must be modern.
No, I'm saying, but there is an over-reliance, I think, on drama that isn't modern. And they think that Sunday nights is what we want, is life through rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, but that's what people want, Downton Abbey and now this.
Well, that's it. It works, doesn't it? So that's why ITV will make these shows, because they know so many people will watch them.
Don't forget, after the Durrells on Sunday night now, ITV... the Durrells gives way to Grantchester, another drama set in the past. I'm afraid. I mean, I get your point, Nihal, but you can't argue against the massive audiences that this kind of escapist, nostalgic drama attracts, and the channels will always go with that flow. You can rely on that.
Although saying that, I guess The Night Manager is a Sunday set very much now, but I have to say that I am naturally allergic to this kind of thing. I put it on and I tried, and I totally agree that some of the writing is actually quite funny. I thought just that opening scene with the mum dragging her son out of that boarding school and some of the lines, it was quite funny, but it just...
I'm kind of with you on this, because I'm never into those kind of like old, period dramas or whatever. I never watched an episode of Downton Abbey, believe it or not.
Neither have I.
But I do think Keely Hawes was brilliant in it, and just even for the disgusted look on her face for the majority of the show,
she's really good. Yeah,
she's really good. But then you've got Line of Duty on the other channel, which on
that charming comedy.
Yeah, but if you're wanting something like a bit more,
I'll never laugh once.
Yeah,
it's really badly written.
You know what I mean? It's like
terrible press release.
but you know what I mean? Like if like, say for me, I wouldn't watch the Durrells, but I'd be like, really excited about Line of Duty. There's lots out there, isn't there?
Yeah, Line of Duty was particularly absurd last night.
I mean, what was that Channel 4 thing that they did? It was set around that kind of partition or pre-partition of India, Indian Summers. Was it
Indian Summers?
Where, again, lots and lots of money about this particular time in history. And look, you can do historic. I'm not saying don't do historical things. I'm just saying that a lot of TV money goes into those things, and that's at the expense, I think, of some potentially much more exciting. And what you're seeing with Netflix and those kinds of channels, although they did The Crown, of course, which is the
most expensive thing they ever made, isn't it?
But Westworld, for instance, costs so much money, and it's just I think that there is a danger that these kind of traditional television channels are going to lose relevance if they don't start thinking.
You've got to appreciate them from where they stand. I mean,
they sell well across the world. They're good business.
All they're trying to do is to appeal to a mass market on a Sunday night when mums and dads and families don't really want to be challenged by gritty, tough talking dramas. So I totally understand what you're saying, and I've got some sympathy for it. But if you appraise the Durrells for what it is and what it's set out to do, it is a damn near perfect production, and so you have to admire the professionalism, particularly of the writer Simon Nihal.
It's very well written,
and a very good cast, particularly Keely Hawes, who deliver the goods, and they're pulling in the millions. So it is a success story. It hasn't sort of pushed back the boundaries of televition, to say the least.
It's not the OA by any stretch of imagination.
But it's not for me. I mean, when I used to watch Downton Abbey, with a
for work.
heavy really hard. Yeah, exactly. I used to literally go, oh my God. But I find that I can, that I can actually quite enjoy the Durrells.
Do you know what? I know you're listening to Five Live, and if you're a fan of those things, you're probably screaming at the radio and going, Nihal, you absolute Philistine. I mean, if you can persuade me to give this a go, 85058 is the text number, because I just need to be dragged kicking and screaming into. I mean, even when I say things like trailers for Mr. Selfridge, I just kind of think,
Oh yeah, that's another one that.
But do you see a pattern building up here? These are the kind of programs that ITV is always going to put on.
Yeah, and they do great business with them.
They do. Yeah.
So I can kind of understand why that would be the case. But yes, and if equally if you agree with me, because of course Kevin rightly is talking about the numbers, 6-7 million people. If you're not one of those 6 or 7 million, go. Equally, and if you don't want to text us, you can always find me on Twitter and you can tweet me and slag me off, harangue me for not liking Downton Abbey, on you as well, Sinead.
Oh, don't be too nasty.
Don't harangue Sinead. I'm more used to it. I'm used to it. Trust me, I'm used to being trolled. So please do so. Okay, let's move on. Doc of the week, Sam.
Well, Doc of the Week is on the iPlayer, this one, Sinead. What's it all about?
Yes, so it's called Happy Man, and it's on BBC Three, and it's by this comedian called Jack Rook. So it's 3 parts. They're about sort of like 10 to 12 minutes long, and it's looking into mental health in young men and sort of male identity, body image, and kind of like looking at ways to make yourself happy. And in it, he talks very openly and honestly to his friends, to his mum, who features in it quite a lot, and then sort of other young men that he goes and meets, and sort of like talking about their experiences of dealing with mental health issues. And it all comes from his he lost his dad when he was a lot younger. And also one of his best friends,
wasn't it?
Yeah, one of his best friends killed himself about 2 years ago. So he talks all about that, and it's kind of dedicated to his friend Dolly. It's something that us at Radio 1 are doing so much on, like mental health in young people. And obviously you've got the Royals, with their Talking Heads campaign, and it's sort of everyone. It's good that these things are being made, and
Well, we spoke to Johnny and Neil. I don't know if you know the story of Johnny and Neil just before. 2 o'clock we spoke to them, and Neil had to talk Johnny down from Waterloo Bridge, and they ran the marathon yesterday, and they're doing with Heads Together, of course, which is a charity.
So it's good, and I think this. The first time I ever heard of Jack was I saw him perform at Bestival. So he was doing this stand-up show that's all about grief, and it's like sort of talking about like his father and all the sort of feelings he had growing up and everything, and he just does it in such a beautiful way, and he's very funny, very warm, very likeable, and I just think these hopefully he'll be doing more of this sort of stuff, because he's got a great way with people. And
does the 10 minutes work? Because they're very short, aren't they?
Yeah, you kind of you want more, don't you?
Yes.
You do want more.
Okay, Kevin.
I thought it was all right. I'm getting a bit fed up with all this. So let your emotions all come out. It's like it's now the fashion, and so it's this orthodoxy that you're supposed to talk about things. You're supposed to let your emotions
isn't it?
out. No, it's not cynical. It's what I grew up with. When I was at school, if you were a boy and you cried, you got hit by the teachers.
But that's the point.
And so I'm very grateful to my teachers, because my emotions are completely bottled up and they never come out. And that
very
makes
healthy.
Well, it might be. Who says that you have to let it all hang out?
But surely the idea of all of this is to, for people who do want to talk about it, they feel that they can, and that's a really important thing.
Also, just to be very clear about this isn't just about I'm going to run and scream to the world that I have mental health issues because I felt sad today. This is about suicide amongst young men, which is a serious problem.
It's the highest voice.
Three quarters of all suicides are by young men.
Are you by young men?
Yeah.
So this kind of way you were brought up clearly hasn't worked.
Well,
because it's been passed on to another generation.
To the problem,
potentially. I mean, obviously these are very complicated issues.
Yeah.
But he brings out very early on in this story about a friend of his who was, his best mate at university, and it is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it's very good, and I think this guy's fun. He's an ambassador for Calm, the charity as well.
The campaign against living miserably.
Yeah. So he does quite a lot of stuff with this, and I think it's definitely worth having a look.
I guess, and this is actually buying into Kevin's point. What do we learn from this, though? What do we learn from Jack that we don't already see around there? What does he bring to this dialogue about mental health, and particularly men facing up to these issues that we haven't heard of, that Calm haven't done, and that Professor Green hasn't talked about, and various other people?
Well, I mean, the things I found interesting was like he goes and meets this one guy up in Scotland who's, found a way of dealing with his depression through cold water swimming, just sort of it. And like the idea of exploring like sort of different ways for dealing with depression, and like this guy wanted to come off his medication. I think things like that we haven't really seen a huge amount of like what are the other methods.
What are the coping mechanisms?
Yeah, because I mean everyone's different, and if this sort of suggested something, because they would say exercise is obviously very good for you if you have got depression or whatever. So these kind of things I thought was quite interesting, but also it was just nice how he becomes a lot more open in it as well. Like, he goes to a live, like the life drawing class, and he's like the model. And it's quite nice seeing him sort of like really expose himself, and then dressing up in like drag.
He wasn't too good at the cold water swimming, though,
he wasn't very good, no.
He bottomed out.
Yeah,
went all the way out to Scotland and just sort of went down like that, and then came straight
He wasn't
back
very
up.
well, though, was he? I think his only goal was to not
I
go
saw
to the
that as
toilet.
excuses.
I wouldn't be very well if I was facing
What I think
cold
about
water.
it, look, I really, obviously, what Jack's doing is good, and if people want to talk about it, then that is a good thing, and it's certainly what the Royal campaign and everything is encouraging in that direction. But I do kind of worry that there seems to be an orthodoxy that unless you're letting all your emotions hang out, there's something wrong with you and you're not approaching it right. There must be all sorts of solutions to personal contentment.
Yeah.
And being sort of emotionally out there isn't necessarily one of them.
No, I was just going to say, but like I said before, but for the people that do want to talk,
sure,
being able to know that you can and it's all right.
And he's very likeable, Jack.
Very likeable, yeah.
He's very likeable. I guess that, especially for men, this is saying, as you're pointing out, that there are options other than the orthodoxy that most of us men were brought up with, which is that you do not show your emotions. He used that whole phrase. He goes to see someone, doesn't he, who says, I hate. Oh, his own mother actually, who said that whole thing about be a man. She hated that phrase, be a man.
Yeah.
Now, how many of us boys growing up heard that? Be a man. Don't cry. Don't show your emotions.
Yeah.
And my son had to have a good cry as the fourth goal went in against Spurs.
Yeah, well, that's different.
And rather than me saying be a man, although to be fair to him, I did say get used to it. You're a Spurs fan, but and I gave him a hug and I allowed him to cry it out. Because it's
He was
important.
crying almost as much as you, yeah.
In fact, and then he gave me a hug, and I was inconsolable. Actually, in the end, he had to call up my wife to come and pick me up. But we won't go into that, will we? We won't go into that. Okay, we've got some texts about period dramas. Thanks for neatly summarising my feelings about the vast majority of period dramas these days, Nihal. I flee the room when they're on. You've used an old school word even. I flee from the room. I go forth. The Durrells. Just because a TV programme gets 7 million viewers doesn't mean the programme is good. It means that it's the best of a poor choice to watch, says Chris in Hull. Actually, there's no excuse to have a poor watch. I guess, no, there is an excuse because you have to pay a lot of money to be on subscription
You don't
services.
get 7 million just because there's nothing on the other side.
No,
you
that's
really
good.
don't.
Just to cheer you up, Howard's End is currently being remade for
What?
TV, says Andy
I
in
draw the
Swanage.
line at that.
Andy in Swanage. Greg in Plymouth said the Durrells was fantastic and touched on Greek society as it is today. Well, really? I didn't see anyone queuing up outside an ATM to try and get their life savings out before their currency went through the floor. I didn't see that, I have to say, in the Durrells. A gritty reality, Line of Duty followed right away. Oh, so room for both. I agree. Greg from Plymouth, who managed to have yin and managed to have yang. Now, we do want you to sell it to us still. 85058 is the text number. If you want to sell a period drama just to wind me up, then feel free to do so on 85058. We are, of course, open, as always, each and every Monday on TV Club to your suggestions. So if there is a TV nugget, something that you've seen that you feel that we should watch, then get in contact with us.
Some coming through already. Just started to watch 13 Reasons on Netflix. Few of these coming in. You should recommend this. The story is about a young teenage girl who takes her own own life after being bullied. 2 weeks afterwards, a friend of hers who had a crush on her receives a box of 13 cassettes made by the girl. She starts to explain why she decided to take her own life. Paul in Chesterfield said she names all the people involved. Quite a few people talking about this one, and other people mentioning, you'd hate this one, Kevin. I don't know if you've seen This Is Us. It's all about feelings and touchy-feelings.
This Is Us. I nearly died in the first episode.
Yeah, he just watches, 300 or whatever all the time about real men.
This Is Us, but it's certainly not me.
Right, anything with Spartans in, basically.
No, that's been mentioned, yeah. You see,
that 13 Reasons Why is controversial because actually the campaigners have said that it's actually not done any favours to the cause of stopping suicides. That by depicting this girl's suicide and laying out in such minute detail, it's sort of done the wrong thing and may actually even encourage people.
Well, we're going to discuss this, aren't we? More of this
Yeah.
in TV news, actually, coming up after the news. So should we continue that conversation?
You're listening to a BBC 5 Live podcast.
If you like this, you might also like this. Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy.
Is everybody's hunger in sport different?
I was hungry. I wanted to be the best. For me, you win or that's it.
To find out more about our range of podcasts, click, tap or swipe bbc.co.uk/5live.
Oh, right. It is now 39 minutes past 3. We've got 21 minutes left of the show. I need you to sell it to me. Thank you for the text that you've been sending in about TV shows that you feel we should be all across and have in our lives. Sean, thank you for this one, because I may well check this out. Inside the Freemasons on Sky One is a brilliant open-door insight into the Brotherhood, answering many questions honestly. Angie says, Ari, sell it to me. Life in Pieces on Amazon. So funny. This hashtag sell it to me. Channel 4's Utopia from 2013 is a must-watch British thriller. Dark, macabre and dystopian with a stellar cast, shot with a processed filter and accompanied by a squelchy modern soundtrack. Genius. Ewan, thank you for that. Neil from Wolverhampton says, High Maintenance on Sky Atlantic. Quirky, funny and a brilliant insightful, I should say, look at various relationships amongst New Yorkers from the viewpoint of a drug dealer. Now, Neil from Wolverhampton, I actually suggested this about a month ago because I started watching High Maintenance. That is a very good shout indeed. Lots of different vignettes from the Big Apple, from the viewpoint of someone who is involved in the
No Downton Abbey-ness there,
business.
Nihal. Yeah.
What's that?
No Downton Abbey-ness there going on.
No.
Up your alley.
No, nothing. No, that's a very modern take on New York and this man's illegal trade, should we say?
Let's talk about some TV news now. And Sinead, my heart is soaring at this, but I'm also nervous. The League of Gentlemen are back.
Well, yes, so returning for an anniversary special, according to writer and star Mark Gatiss. He said it on social media. So that's basically all we know. He was replying to film director Duncan Jones, who's David Bowie's son, who's a big fan of the show, and just sort of said, yes, there will be this anniversary special. That's kind of all the news we have at the moment. But it was back on 1999 into 2002, and there's always been like rumours, will it come back? You know, and obviously they've gone off and done, you know, all these other different things. But so, yeah, 15 years later, or 16 years, we will be seeing a return.
Because there was the film, of course, the cinema release about, 9-10 years ago now?
It was a while ago. It was a while ago.
A teeny bit disappointing. But, I mean, as you said, the stars of League of Gentlemen, I mean, Sherlock, Doctor Who, Inside Number 9, Psychoville, you can just go, I mean, Benidorm, you can go on and on and on. They've been so successful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I guess maybe it's, you know, they've decided the time's right. Maybe they've got the right scripts now. Maybe they're all kind of happy with it. And they're kind of the sort of people that I don't think would do it if it wasn't right. That makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
You know, because they're pretty smart chaps, aren't they?
Are, very much so.
You know, and like you say,
so surreal, the League of Gentlemen, wasn't it?
Bizarre.
Just bizarre. I mean, seriously,
Inside
it
those
made
people's
like
minds.
Reeves and Mortimer looked like a nature documentary, didn't it? I mean, it was just so out there.
Yeah.
His fans are like a cult. I mean,
Yes.
they are really addicted to it.
Yeah.
They were mortified when it came off. And I think Mark Gatiss was kind of indicating that they're going to try to do one sort of special a year from now on, which would be nice for the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Timing. Captain America, Chris Evans doing something that I've done before, and that's the only thing I can say that Chris Evans and I have in common.
Yes, so he's the latest celebrity to read the bedtime story for CBeebies. So, of course, Tom Hardy's been a big hit. He's done it a couple of times. And so, yeah, they've got Captain America himself doing it. And he's going to read Even Superheroes Have Bad Days, which is quite appropriate. Yeah. So, yeah, the list
Dogs Do Ballet.
Oh, did you?
Oh, did you? Dogs don't do ballet.
Dogs Don't Do Ballet. That's it, which is such a great book.
Oh.
Such a great book.
My daughter has gone as the dog from Dogs Don't Do Ballet 2 years running for World Book Day.
Has she really?
I'm going to find your reading now on the iPlayer.
Yeah, it's there. My daughter and my son both love that book.
Well, he's already recorded it.
How does this happen? I mean, what conversation happens? Because the thing about bedtime story, as far as I've been led to believe, is that you can't approach them.
Right.
It's one. Although I'm sure if Chris Evans, Captain America, rings up, they'll probably go, "Oh yeah, okay, we're not going to ignore that." They might think it's a joke, but it does have this kind of following, doesn't it?
I think it's because it's kids. It's like charity, you know.
Yeah.
If you're making something for charity or for kids, you can reach out. So it's higher than you normally could.
Yeah.
So I suspect,
or lower in my case.
Yeah. Sometimes
it was a quiet week.
Sometimes they have bad weeks. No, but people will always try and do things for kids. So I think that the producers of the bedtime story, are being very ambitious in who they approach, and it pays dividends.
Why not?
Absolutely. But it made me wonder, is Chris Evans and Tom Hardy like good pals? Is he? Because how does Chris Evans even know about this? Do you know what I mean? It was just because when I first read it, I thought it was Radio 2's Chris Evans, and I was like, oh my God, Captain America! Wow, okay. So yeah, that's going to be on May the 10th. The mums and dads can sit down and watch that.
Yeah, I think there'll be like parents of 22-year-olds watching.
Yeah.
when that goes.
Glass of wine. Kids go to bed. I'm busy.
Neighbours round, have a fondue, watch Chris Evans.
Pass the cigarettes, it's bedtime story.
Really, really good. And also, you were talking about this earlier on. Producers 13 Reasons have defended the series.
Yeah.
Kevin mentioned this.
Yeah, so as Kevin was saying, there's been it's been criticised by some charities and experts saying that it glamorises suicide.
Just explain the plot again, if people haven't heard of it.
Yeah, so 13 Reasons Why. It's the Netflix show, and it's about a young girl who kills herself, a teenager, but she leaves behind 13 tapes. And on each tape is the story of a person that had an effect on her life, and, why she ended up doing what she does. And it's got so much praise though as well, and it's like the most tweeted about Netflix show of the year or something like that. Yeah. And Selena Gomez is one of the executive producers, so that added a bit to it as well. But it has been really, really popular. But yeah, so some charities and experts have said that they think that because they don't shy away from like the graphic imagery of her killing herself, and they will argue that for young people to see, someone ending their life in kind of quite an easy way, that it could make children desensitised to, what is a very serious matter.
But they worry that it glamorises suicide.
Yeah, exactly.
The mere fact that it's in a popular TV drama kind of glamorises it. And I can sort of sympathise with that, and they're the experts, so what do I know? But I do worry about suicide, that it's almost as if the whole subject is in danger of being deplatformed, no platformed. You can't ever say any details about suicide. And if you go on Twitter and say, "Oh, that football match made me suicidal," or something glib like that, you'd be surprised. People will come in and say that's inappropriate, and the very word seems to conjure up a kind of atmosphere of censorship. So I just wonder, whether we're right to come down on a drama that has the courage to address the issue.
Absolutely. But from Netflix's point of view, they said that they had 4 mental health experts working on consulting with the guy who wrote it, Brian Yorkie. They had website links on their website to various charities and crisis hotlines and things like that. And then the guy himself, Brian Yorkie, who created it, he said, "We worked very hard not to be gratuitous, but we did not want it to be painful to watch because we wanted it to be very clear that there is nothing in any way worthwhile about suicide." But the other thing that some of the charities were saying is that, obviously it's dealing with suicide, but it doesn't show her depression And you know, those kind of things, like the long process it can take from, you know, feeling a bit low or being bullied and actually developing the depression. They said that kind of that didn't really happen in that show, so it wasn't perhaps as like realistic as maybe it would be. You know,
are you aware of what Radio 1 Extra listeners are saying about this programme?
Yeah, they really like all the people that you know we've been in touch with, and we've got quite a few like sort of really young interns in it, and they all absolutely love it. They really like it. So it seems like the criticism is coming from, you know, the sort of experts as opposed to like the people watching it.
I just think it'd be a negative thing to make the producers and the writers and the performers of TV drama terrified of the issue of suicide, because to shut them up is a kind of almost a form of censorship. So if the arts can't address issues, then they will not be given a public platform.
And if some of the age group that it is targeted at find it to be informative, I mean that. It's job done, isn't it?
The thing about suicide, though, as I said, it's just one of those topics that whenever you bring it up, someone won't like what you said.
Yes.
And that's what I think 13 Ways is
I mean, it is understandably, because it is a devastating and very complicated area, something that eggshells are strewn around as soon as you even say the words. I mean, we were... Even here at the editorial policy at the BBC is such that you will not provide any details. You will not, because of that encouragement.
Because that's an accepted process now. All media outlets adhere to the same system.
Yes,
but I'm not sure. We don't want to go too far with it.
Good point.
What
else we got? Oh, go on, Sam.
Well, I was about to say, we're about to discuss Big Little Lies in a moment. It's big Sky Atlantic drama, and the finale is tonight. But before that, Sinead, a word on the BAFTA TV Craft Awards. Is this a ceremony to one of those behind the scenes?
Yeah, the sort of the unsung heroes, I guess, or the ones we don't see anyway. But what's interesting was the Night Manager won 2 of these awards, and they obviously haven't been nominated for, you know, the BAFTA TV Awards. So
what was one of them for? Tom Hiddleston's buttock crafting, sculpting.
They picked up fiction editing and sound. You know, the 2 big ones. Okay. But then
What's
Crown.
Fiction editing.
That's
editing of a
that's
fictional.
When you've lied about how much time you spent in the edit suite.
Yeah.
Is it?
I've no idea. That's just sort of the category.
I mean, look, we're not being. These are amazingly technical and at the top of their craft.
They're the ones, spending hours and hours in a dark room trying to
make
go
it look
through
effortlessly beautiful.
Yeah.
Whatever you thought of the Night Manager, it was fantastic to look at. The production
absolutely.
values
Yes, it was absolutely
supreme. So if it's winning craft awards, it certainly deserved it. I mean, its absence from the real BAFTA or the TV BAFTAs was strange, almost as strange as the Line of Duty's absence.
Yes, that's perfect word for it. Strange. What's going on?
Well, it's BAFTA. They're still capable of doing weird things. I've judged BAFTA awards, and they all gather in rooms, and you'd be surprised at how little lots of them know about what's been on for the past year. So I think there's a certain kind of elitism that still goes on in the judging of these things.
So was the Night Manager, the timing was wrong because it had gone on? How long ago was the Night Manager?
It was in time. It was in time.
But was it long ago? Was it too long? I mean, if you're saying that these are people who
what you
are
mean
not
people had forgotten?
Yes. An element of. I mean, you've got to go back and be given the tapes, presumably. Well, not tapes.
Don't think the judges, when they come to it, having done it myself, that's very fresh in your mind because they've given you a DVD or a tape or a link, and you've only seen it the night before.
Yeah.
So I don't think that really necessarily is a problem. I mean, the Night Manager's absence from the BAFTA Roll of Honour was curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
As was a Line of Duties, to my mind, was even more confusing.
When you think about the Night Manager, everyone was talking about it. It was just such a huge TV show, as is Line of Duty, and the last series was as well. So it's strange.
Look, let's march forward. 9 minutes to go, and it's a big finale tonight. Big Little Lies. It's a flagship show on Sky Atlantic. The posters have just been everywhere, haven't they? Because major stars in this one. One of the most expensive murder mysteries in a long time. Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, Laura Dern, amongst, more of a stellar cast, actually. It's been really successful here and in the States. It's based on a novel by an Australian writer. Kevin, what have you made of it?
Absolutely loved it. Very interesting approach to television, kind of different. I mean, tonight is episode 7, and throughout the previous 6 episodes, you've had a kind of oppressive, pervasive sense that something has gone badly wrong, someone has been killed, but you have no idea who it is. Now,
and it's quite slow, isn't it? But very addictive.
Yes, but it's compelling.
Yeah.
You know, you're desperate to find out, and you don't. It's written and created by David E. Kelly, who did Ally McBeal, Chicago Hope, a real kind of top flighter. As you said, Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman are not only in it, they're also executive producers. They play two of the many women in Monterey in California who reveal that all is not well in paradise. They're living in these fantastic multi-million-dollar houses right on the California coast. It all looks like perfection, but they've got problems in their marriages. Nicole Kidman's marriage is particularly disastrous. So it's really a story of the fact that behind those shiny multi-million-dollar mansions are lives of abject unhappiness.
And what's interesting is you don't feel a lot of sympathy. And you might think, oh, these poor women, but actually they're flawed. They're all flawed as characters, which makes them very three-dimensional, makes it very real.
And I like that. It doesn't go out to make you like any of the characters. Reese Witherspoon's character, Madeline, is actually a very funny person, but involved in all sorts of shenanigans. Nicole Kidman plays this poor woman who's having a terrible time at the hands of her violent husband. Shailene Woodley plays this woman who was raped. So it's and there's a lot of problems to do with their kids. Their kids all go to this school, and kids are being accused of bullying, and parents are getting up petitions. It's a massive picture of discontent in this place that is seen as one of the most perfect places to live in the entire world. So it's beautiful scenery, fantastic drama, very interesting way of telling this story that you don't find out what the damn story is until tonight.
You don't know who's dead.
So
no.
if you've watched this, if you haven't watched the first 6 episodes, don't tune in tonight. You kind of need to watch them. If you have watched the 6 episodes, you're going to love tonight.
Oh, very excited.
Let's hear a little clip then. There's a little spoiler in this, but it's not the spoiler. It's not the whole point of the TV show. But
awkward.
This would be very awkward. But this is a clip from tonight's finale then, where Madeline, is played by Reese Witherspoon, is talking to her daughter Abigail about her infidelity.
I can't really make sense of it. I think maybe sometimes I'm just holding on to this idea of perfection so tight. Something has to give. And I can't explain it. And I won't excuse it. I've been wanting to tell Ed for so long. I just haven't found the courage yet.
Big Little Lies. And as Kevin rightly pointed out, don't start tonight and think, I'll work my way back. Don't do that. Catch up on that. Now, Big Little Lies, of course, is on, I believe, Sky Atlantic tonight. There you go. It's the finale at 9 o'clock tonight. Make sure you get involved. Right, talking of getting involved, some lovely, lovely, amazing listeners of 5 Live have definitely got involved with Sell It To Me. They get 30 seconds. Now, I can count the 30 seconds from here because I'm in a different studio to Sam today. And I'll start, and then Sam can come up next. Fiona is on the line. Fiona, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Right, you have 30 seconds to sell it to us, starting from now.
Well, staying with Sky Atlantic, we have a programme called Camping. It's written and directed by Julia Davis of Thunder Bay and Big Train fame. It's 6 half-hour episodes, and it's hilariously funny. It starts off with a couple going through the countryside with their young son on their way to a camping holiday. Vicky Pepperdine is the awful
5
wife
seconds.
who. Oh, well, they meet
And you spent 2 of those laughing.
They meet with two couples. And
Never going to do it.
You're out of time, but that's brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Fiona, when you're put on the spot, my gosh, thank you very much indeed. Camping on Sky Atlantic, you absolute star. Thank you.
Chris, over to you then. 30 seconds for you, and you're choosing something that's on Netflix.
It is Netflix. It's called The Get Down, and it stars Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son. And it's about the birth of hip-hop in 70s New York. It's got token gestures from Grandmaster Flash in there. It's got a great soundtrack and really captures the poverty and the upside of the music, and really makes you believe you're there. It's absolutely fantastic. It's got corruption, it's got the drug scene, it's got the graffiti artists. Just shows everything about the 70s and early 80s in New York that was wrong, but also some of the great stuff, the battle between it and disco.
All right, we're done. That was a good sell.
I'll tell you what, Chris in Warrington, you and I could be friends because I absolutely love The Get Down. If you like The Get Down, check out my documentary on Sky Arts, Passions, Hip Hop and Me, it's called. Anyway, enough of the sell. Dave is on the line. He's got something for us from Sky Atlantic, and he's got 30 seconds starting from now.
I'd like to talk to you about Fortitude, a murder mystery that's currently in its second season. Fortitude's a small Norwegian outpost island deep in the Arctic tundra, a community defined by bleak, cold elements. There's no crime until, of course, there is. It's subtle, dark. You aren't sure whether it's simply murder or something more prehistoric, more guttural, more supernatural. It's a Norwegian cast underpinned by the odd famous actor. It's gripping, suspenseful, and leaves you exhaustedly satisfied. It's a must.
And that's your 30. So, my God,
that's amazing.
Coverage in South Wales. Wow. Are you a horse racing commentator by any chance in your spare time? That was amazing. What you just did. OK, now we've had Fiona with Camping there on Sky Atlantic. We've had Netflix. Chris says we should watch The Get Down, which I am addicted to. Fortitude, that's what Dave amazingly sold to us there. Sinead Garvan makes the decision. Sinead, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to have to go with my heart in this one because that guy was just amazing.
Dave!
And so I'm kind of going with him more than his programme choice. Let's watch Fortitude.
We will be watching Fortitude on Sky Atlantic because, Dave, you could sell us anything.
Yeah, you're a legend.
I mean, that was amazing.
So
Sam.
good.
Kevin, how do you feel about Dave's sell on that?
Well, it's very good. He should write all the blurbs, all the promotion material.
Yeah.
He missed out that it's very cold there as well.
It is huge.
It's constantly frozen, you know.
I did get that from the word tundra that he included in there, it has to be said.
I don't know what that means.
It means cold. I think you don't get tropical tundras as far as I know, but 85058 if you want to challenge us. It's always a start. Kevin, Sinead, thank you very much indeed for being part of TV Club, and thank you for everyone that got involved.